Hey everyone, Joe here from buildassetsonline.com, here with my brother Mike, and today we're going to give you why most people will fail with high ticket dropshipping in 2020. And the fact is that in business in general, a lot of people who start businesses will fail. And it could be for a wide variety of reasons. So we're going to get right into it. But I just want to remind you guys, free Discord channel. Check out the description below. Come join our community if you're looking for a place to hang out with other people who are building online assets. So let's get into it, Mike. What's the first reason why most people who do high ticket dropshipping are going to fail? And wait, real quick, if you're going to be doing low ticket dropshipping, 99.9% chance you're going to fail. If you're doing high ticket dropshipping, you have a much higher chance of success. If you're doing AliExpress, Facebook ads, all that nonsense, you're done. But why are most people who try high ticket dropshipping probably going to fail?
So people definitely fail high ticket dropshipping. Um, and we talk a lot about success here, but there are reasons people fail. And I think the number one reason is mindset. And when I say mindset, I don't mean because you're not saying your affirmations each morning or meditating enough or something like that. I think it's because when people start high ticket dropshipping, they've either taken other courses that set out like different ways of doing niche research, or they've watched other content, or they have certain ideas in their head that are making them fail. And so basically when you're doing high ticket dropshipping, especially if like say you're taking our course and you're going in, you need to sort of drop all of your preconceived notions about what business is and like what you think your store should look like and everything you've learned elsewhere. Because if you're trying to say, for example, you say you're making a store, but you don't take the advice that we talk about of making your store more general so that you can have like these mini failures, say like a supplier doesn't take you on or one particular product type doesn't work. That's not the end all be all for you. If you're doing things in a more general way, like we teach, then that translates to success later because you learn that, okay, this product type may not work out, but you can still go and get other product types that will work out. And so it's not a net failure, it's a net gain.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that, Mike, is I think people what people do is they get very locked in to certain ideas when they're doing business, and people could say, like, say you started doing high ticket dropshipping and you've been at it for a few months. Maybe you didn't, whether you took our course or you took someone else's, you might be going along your merry way, and you might be taking someone's advice, whether it's our advice or someone else's advice, and you might be trying to implement it. But it's very important that you don't get in the headspace of like, this is what they said, I have to do it this way. And a good example of this is we have one of our partners that we're working on another project. We're going to be doing Kindle publishing from some different angles. We're going to get it beginning into the nonfiction space, and we set out like a criteria based on someone else that we should follow. It's got to hit different parameters, like numerical data parameters. And if you try and fit everything that you're doing into the parameters that someone else gives you, it's going to be very difficult because your experience in the business is going to be different, and just day to day things change in the business. So if you get locked into a certain set of parameters that define how to be successful in high ticket dropshipping,
Mhm.
then I think you're going to fail. Which is why, actually, one of the things that I think we like to stress compared to other people is we talk more about systems and processes than we talk about parameters. Other guys who teach high ticket dropshipping out there, I think, become obsessed with the parameters. Like, it's got to fit this.
Yeah.
It's got to fit this. It's got to fit this. This product is good to dropship. This one isn't. I don't like when I get into a business model. Yeah, I like to hear all that stuff and take it in, but I also like to think, well, what if I did it this way? You know?
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean, to tell you the truth, like most people that create courses that, they put in these criteria, that, okay, it has to meet this, it has to do this, it has to do this, like specific things. I don't believe that these people, that's actually how these course creators are going and doing a particular business model. If they are indeed successful with that business model that they're teaching, I think it's like after the fact, if they're going to create a course,
Yeah.
they have to do something to kind of give people this box to work in. And so sometimes that box, it's makes things a lot more complicated for people because it's like you're giving people, okay, if you can put it, if it fits here, then you're good to go. But if it doesn't, and then people kind of, they stall, they're not sure, and it develops complacency. And so that's another reason why people will fail, is because they get complacent. And it ties in with the knowledge. Because if you're not sort of taking your online business journey in terms of learning skills and building systems, and you're just kind of doing it all to just learn a certain approach exactly step by step, then it will result in complacency if you get to a situation that does not fit in the box of what like the course teaches.
I think actually you might use the word knowledge there. I think knowledge only partially describes what you're talking about. I think it's a combination of knowledge and intuition, because people, again, if you're trying to if you're trying to say, is this product good to drop ship, and you have a certain criteria, and you're trying to say like, okay, I'll add up this number, there's this many sellers on Google Shopping, and there's this search volume on Google, and I'm gonna do this Excel spreadsheet and see like, oh wait, it's got a red bot, like
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, this might not be a good product, I don't know. You spent 2 hours analyzing this product when you could have just called 10 suppliers, and I think and the way you develop that knowledge / intuition is by calling the suppliers and getting the products, not by spending 2 hours analyzing whether a product is good. And so, actually, when we have people email us or leave comments, or our students email us and they email us a question like that, I tend to not even like to address it. Like when they send us like a spreadsheet or something like, hey, take a look at my supplier list. Like, I don't like to get people in the mindset of like wasting time with that when they're starting out, when action is far more important.
Yeah. Yeah. Before you actually like develop your intuition, you just need to be taking action until you develop the intuition. That's the only way to get there. You cannot be taught intuition through a course.
Right.
And so that's why we try and just lay out the parameters of like, okay, do this, but above all else, you need to try it and see what works, because it's not going to be any sort of financial risk to do so.
Yeah, and you said before that the course creators who really are strict with the parameters, or who include strict parameters, you don't believe that they actually use that. I think you're right, and I think what actually happens is it might not be the fault of the course creators themselves, but I think that because people are very timid when it comes to, like, we purposely tell students like not to be more liberal with parameters, but we still have people trying to create parameters, fit everything into parameters. So I think it's kind of like a never-ending cycle where someone makes a course, teaches someone how to do something, and the students ask like, oh, how do I know if this is good? So people will just create parameters just to to make it easier to answer those questions in a quick way, if that makes sense, when there is no quick answer.
Yeah. People want quick answers. And, I will say, like, okay, in our niche selection course, I talk about, like the numbers of suppliers on Google Shopping will have an impact on your business. And like, I talk about what to expect, and I give like some far off number, like, okay, if there's 100 suppliers on a particular listing, okay, like don't do that. That's too much.
Yeah.
But there's so much gray area in online business, because it's like people are just out here doing things. There's no like these rules that people have in their head as to what's going to work, what's not going to work. There's no like hard cutoff for it most of the time.
And to even I think that example that you just gave is if say you're trying to go onto Google Ads and you're going to bid on something that has 100 Google Shopping people bidding on it, 100 different websites bidding on it. Yeah, like that's going to be a pretty competitive in terms of Google shopping. But again, this is a very gray area, because it's not to say that you couldn't secure a really competitive supplier like that and then make a roundup post, like an SE, like an that ranks in Google, like, use SEO to sell those products if it's too competitive in Google shopping.
Yeah.
The point is, there's so many different ways to go about something, and it really, you have to harness that, learn as much as you can, and then go out and apply it and harness that creativity and all that stuff, to figure out the best way to sell these products in a given environment, because every
Yeah.
environment's going to be different.
Actually, now that you bring that up, I always have one particular supplier in my head that we talk about, like that we used to have that
I
had
know exactly
hundreds.
who you're talking about.
Yeah, but so if you recall, actually, the fact that we were selling some of their products because they
Yeah.
weren't as competitive, that resulted in us getting sales for some of their super competitive products, and I think we made like $1,000 one time profit, just because of that we didn't even have them on our website at the time, but we were still able to make money off those products, and so yeah, it just goes to show like how much gray area there is when it
Yeah.
comes to online business and it comes to making money. There's so much gray area
Yeah.
in life,
Yeah. So I mean, think.
and people need to be comfortable in the gray areas.
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about failure in this episode, but I want to kind of pivot that a little bit for this next thing I'm going to say, because I want to point, if you feel like you are doing a lot of things that we're talking about, that are going to lead to your possible failure, I want to say something that could help lead to your possible success. So,
Hmm.
I talked about a situation where you have 100 suppliers on Google Shopping, and so to combat that, you use SEO to rank for a relevant keyword about those products, and you sell the products that way. So keep in mind, and I want to talk about the basic concept that encompasses that. So you have a website that sells stuff. You have suppliers that you buy stuff from. Your job as an online business owner, as someone doing high ticket dropshipping, you have to get relevant traffic to your website, that the people who are coming have a high probability of buying those products. That's all you have to do. And there are so many different ways to go about that. And every product is going to be different. Every niche is going to be different. You might have some super competitive products like, basic furniture stuff, like a basic chair that, there's no way you're going to be profitable on it with Google Shopping. You might not even be able to rank for any relevant keywords in Google, but you could hop on Pinterest and, create something on there. Anywhere where there's some sort of, where you can generate that traffic of people that are going to buy, that's where you got to look. And I think it becomes way easier when you start putting yourself in the shoes of the person that's going to click over to your website. So my biggest tip is to really, really think about what that person is doing before they got to your website. So searching on Google is the most basic example. They're searching something on Google. Okay, what did they search? Think about to yourself, what did a person who searched this, what do they most likely want? And am I getting in front of them if what they want is to buy something? On Pinterest, what are they searching on Pinterest? What do they most likely want? What is my page giving them? Am I giving them what they want? The same goes for all these sorts of things. So just think about that person's intent, the customer's intent before they get to your website, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah, yeah. So I think to recap, mindset in terms of you're not having any limiting beliefs that are preventing you from taking the right amount of action.
Yeah.
So that bleeds into number two, not taking consistent enough action. And then number three, not being comfortable in the gray areas and not putting in the effort to see the gray areas through and try to make them work. Because like for all the reasons you talked upon, and I think once you can start making those things in gray areas work, and you start being able to define your own parameters and what you're comfortable doing,
Yeah.
that's when you develop real intuition, and that's when you can start having like your own personal success and your own personal methods.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway of all before we end it, guys, is define your own parameters. Test, 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 get to the point where you're defining your own parameters for your business based on the knowledge of the products that you're selling and, you know, your team, yourself, all that stuff. You're in the driver's seat. So, yeah, that's about it for this one, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, or another what are they called? Podcast platform.
iCloud.
iCloud. I don't
I'm just
know.
messing around.
I don't.
Yeah.
I grew up with
Subscribe,
flip
like,
phones. I don't know what this
whatever.
stuff is.
Join the Discord.
Yeah.
Get the free course. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Buildassetsonline.com/playlist. Free course. Whatever you want to do. All right, guys. Take it
Take it
easy.
easy.
We'll see you in the next one.